Like you have to build up that resistance. That's how you get that rhino tough skin. That's how you move forward. That's how you get to the place where you are going to get accepted, and that's where the thing that you've always wanted to do is going to happen. You know,
just kind of naturally. Yeah.
Right. And so if the fear is the rejection, it's almost the same as like crossing over the bridge that I'm afraid of. You know, so it's like, okay, well, find the opportunity to do the mural, like the call for art or whatever. Create the design, submit it, wait for the rejection letter, and then be like, yes, and then like apply for the next one, and then be like, yes, I made it over that bridge. Do for the next one, and then when the one finally comes, it's like, oh my goodness, like this is the real one. You know, I mean, like, don't take the email that says we really enjoyed your design, but it's not the right one to heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Would you say that getting rejected, does that add fuel to your fire?
You have to make it add fuel to your fire. I don't think it does automatically.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't, because I've always, when I get rejected from something, or like something I wanted to really do doesn't happen or doesn't come into fruition, it's like, um, it's kind of essentially you falling down. I've never been a person to
knock it back up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, what did I do wrong? Let me figure out what I did to, like,
how can I be better through this experience?
Exactly. Yeah. And because I've always wanted to be the person to be like, I accomplished this in spite of, instead of like, I didn't do this because this happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I never thought of it like you're telling yourself as you have to add it
to the repertoire.
Yeah. Kind of like building up this thick skin. You're saying like, do you think this is kind of like ties back into a question I had prior? Do you feel like rejection can sometimes give you more ambition?
I think so. I think you have to be careful. I think it has to do with your mindset and your heart set, because it can go both ways too. You know, and I think it has to do with who you have around you too, and I think being grateful plays a big part into it, and I think you have to show up being grateful every day too. Make it a point to be grateful for what you have, because then when you do experience rejection, if you have that in your mind that you're grateful that for the things you have, that rejection just doesn't hit as hard. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
So like you were grateful for the opportunity to be able to do it, even if you did fail, type of thing.
Mm-hmm. And you also like have your circle around you, like it's just all the things. It's not just like the because I think the thing about art that's different from other things that you do is that art is like who you are. It's like when you create something, it's like, this is a part of me. This is like a representation of who I am too. Do you know what I mean? It's not just like going to work a 9 to 5 that you didn't care as much about. That you're just getting a check. Creating art is like
a reflection of your soul.
A reflection of yourself. So if you create a design, like I was saying, if you created a design that you're going to submit for a mural and they reject it, it's like, well, they just rejected a part of me, and so you have to work on not taking it personally. Yeah, you know.
That's interesting, because I've always, as a music artist, I don't know if it applies for visual artists too, but like when you put out a finished product, you're always taking into account, like, is this what they want to listen to? Is this sound cool? Does this sound in, right? And then like sometimes you can catch yourself making music else. It's what everyone wants to listen
Here,
to.
yeah, that one beat type of thing.
Yeah, that type of song, that topic, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I think artists can do that too.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Just try to make art that you think other people want to see.
Yeah. Is that like
prohibit?
I wouldn't say prohibit. Does it like when like say you're presenting it and maybe it doesn't get liked or something like that? Would you say that would that hit harder compared to something that was strictly you, that like that is a piece of you, um, it came within you and not from you listening to other people's opinions?
I didn't understand that question.
Well, I think the other way around. Like, I think if I made it's more meaningful. I think if I was preparing work to go to an event, and I took all my work and I put it all out, and then the event is over and I gathered it all up and took it back home and nothing sold, then I kind of just don't think about it. But if I took work, I remember I made this one piece, and it was of, it was a profile picture of myself, and the shadow of it was a rhino, and um, and it really was like coming from me, you know. It's just like I just was like, this is the colors of it, the texture, like everything, and the the texture of the rhino shadow was like what I thought a rhino skin might look like. Like, it was just everything about it. And the painting, like, you know, sometimes paintings take for a long, long time, and sometimes they go really fast. And that painting, I think I did it like really, really fast. Yeah. And I took it to the gallery and hung it up, and it sold. like I barely remember. I don't even know if I took a picture of it. Like, it just was like, I painted it super fast and meant like super
so much to you.
And then I took it, I hung it up, and it was gone, and I was like,
you said I wanted that one.
Those are the ones that I think mean even more, that you're just like, oh,
wow, someone really appreciated it. Yeah.
And then the person who bought it was like, that like had the story about why they bought it, and and that really made an impact more so than any of the rejection part. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So would you say that, like, let's say for an artist that is conflicted between making something they know people will like compared to the thing they know they'll love, right? Would you say to just always go for the thing that you love? Because there's that possibility that it does get accepted, and that level of like acceptance is far greater than like
getting that
any other thing getting accepted is something that comes from something you know you loved, and someone else kind of like felt that same level of love for it. To always just kind of just go for those pieces or that form of art instead.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so, because like those other times that I like remember making all that stuff and taking it and laying it all out, where I was just like, oh, I'll just, you know, I don't know, paint a rhino on a beach or something.
Yeah. It's more meaningful when someone buys something that you put your all into, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and plus, like, people can tell when it means something to you. They really want that stuff.
They can feel the vulnerability
they can
in
feel that, right?
Like,
absolutely, yeah. No, I think you're right. They can feel the vulnerability in it, right?
Because, you know, if a forgery of, like, say, Leonardo da Vinci or something, a piece of his, and then you go and see, you can feel that it's not right. Something in that painting screaming at you that, no, this is not all the hype, this is not, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Except when you see a real piece, you're like, wow. It's amazing. Yeah. It's like, it's a whole entire, it's like the thing about music, it's, if you listen to most artists that make music today, you can tell that they're just trying to hit that niche, get their little dime, do this, you know, to make their quick buck type of situation, instead of sitting down and listening to it and then being like, golly, he's speaking facts straight, you know, from the soul type of thing, instead of make money,
Absolutely.
get more women. I
Yeah.
don't know. Or like this thing about bright colors that are just kind of thrown on a piece. You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, it catches my eye. It's pretty, but I'm not gonna buy it because it's like poured or something. Instead of looking at a piece like this or like that rhino or something, and you're like, wow, someone sat there and took the time to think about every single situation.
Yeah,
Or-
like this one.
Yeah.
This one is
Wow.
so there's a rhino.
It's a rhino. Ty, you gotta see this. You see the rhino?
But
Hold
then
on.
on the top, it's words that mean tough, but the different ways tough, like
Emotionally tough,
like
physically
being
tough. Yeah.
like you can be tough, but then there's also like going through a tough situation,
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that kind of
Dichotomy.
vice versa type of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like dreadful,
Yeah.
indestructible, powerful, tenacious,
Oh my gosh.
You know, like-
yeah.
rugged, resilient, unbreakable, stressful.
Yeah.
Like it could be tough because it was stressful, but it could be rough.
So tired.
You know, I can't even hardly read all the words because they're like.
It like blends in, but that adds more meaning to it because that's what a rhino is. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a rhino.
Oh, nice.
I love that face. I'm sorry. Rhinos were my favorite animal growing
Are
up,
they
and
really?
elephants. Yeah. Something about and hippos. It was rhinos, hippos, and elephants, which is weird because they all are basically the same creature, kind of.
Similar.
Same.
Different animals.
Yeah, I know.
Similar.
It's really cool.
I know.
Thanks.
But man, it's
With the
amazing.
eye right there.
Yeah, I know. I just like how it's like angled. I love the words on it too. Yeah. How how do you get past your mind being a butt? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like you were talking about how the lackluster of the confidence situations. The lackluster of the confidence. That didn't make any sense. But what skills would you tell an artist, me or a youngin or anything like that? What skills would you leave them with?
To like stay motivated, you mean?
Yeah, stay motivated or just
Not being your own way. Is that what you're saying? Like, you're overthinking something.
yeah, overthinking or being able to follow your dream type of situation.
To be able to follow your dream.
Yeah, or to have the confidence to know that you can always go get more eggs when you don't put all your eggs in one basket because you can always go get more eggs type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard that before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I would say to write it all out.
Really?
Right, like just play it all out because I think the risk or the fear or whatever it is might not be what you think is.
Yeah.
You know, like I think sometimes you might have fooled yourself into believing something that's not true. So if you write it out, you're like, that doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
that's delusional. Yeah.
That's delusional.
Yeah.
It's like limiting.
Yeah.
And so
On my own self. Yeah.
and I'm believing it myself. It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. And
Yeah.
so sometimes if you write it out and then you say it back to yourself, you're like, oh, that's stopping me from doing this thing I really want to do, and it's not the truth.
Yeah. It's
you
not
know?
real. Yeah.
Or you might even like write it out and read it to someone that you trust.
Yeah.
You know.
And then have them kind of talk to you through it. Yeah.
Talk you through it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think sometimes you just you let that play in your head, and you don't realize how many times you've let it play in your head
Over and over again. Yeah.
Before you know it, it's been a year of that, whatever it is, that message playing in your head, and so you've stopped yourself from moving forward in whatever it is you wanted to do.
Make yourself stagnant. Yeah.
And then I think the other thing too is right on the opposite side, write out what you do want.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. And write out what you're grateful for. Yeah.
Like write those things out. What do you want for yourself in 10 years, and what do you want for yourself in 5 years, and what do you want for yourself in in a year, and then you can turn those things into goals too. What are you doing today to get to that 10-year?
Yeah.
And what are you doing today to get to that 5-year, and so forth. And then you can even write it out more specific and say those things to yourself. You know, like for me, it might be I am a mural artist. You know, I am applying to the call for artists that are asking for these designs, which means I am drawing out the ideas I have for what I might want to put on the wall. You know, and there's a saying that if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Right. So if we leave right now and on the way home, somebody sends me a Instagram post that's like a call for art for mural, right? Like let's say in
next month or whatnot,
right, in Franklinton or something, and I already have some sketches, then all I have to do is submit it. Because if I stay ready, I don't gotta get ready, right? I don't have to like go home and figure out to scramble, right? So that comes from like all those things, showing up and being ready, right? You know. So saying I am a mural artist, which means that I'm doing the things, you know, like I'm
sketching up things,
I'm showing up, I'm doing the things because I
submitting everything, because that's what I am,
So I think saying those statements too, like saying those I am statements for what you want for yourself, writing those things out. So doing both of the things, right? Writing out what you want for yourself, writing out what your beliefs are that might be stopping you, you know, or even just saying them. Yeah. Talking to people.
To yourself, yeah.
Yeah. Makes a difference.
Yeah. A big difference, actually, yeah. I don't know, somewhere back in high school, I was like, I always said, like, I hate myself. Like, when I mess up, I hate myself. Da, da, da. And then I switched that from I hate myself to I love myself. And I'd be like, I love myself, dag. I could have done better, but I'm okay, though. And then that just took my mindset to a whole entire different realm. Because now I actually do love myself. I love what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I could always do better. Yeah, I could. Yeah, I'm legendary. You're right. And it takes you to a whole entire different headspace, making those small changes make everything. Just like showing up. I saw this one guy, he was like, people don't like to work out because they think they need to go to the gym.
Right.
But you just need to he was like, what is he's like you don't want to work out because he said something, but you need to just show up to the gym. Stay at the gym for 5 minutes. You don't even have to work out. And then you leave the gym. And then the more you show up, it trains your body to be like, I'm already here. Might as well work out. Might as well do these little 5 push-ups or whatnot. And I really do love saying whatnot. Wow. And this is just repeating in my head. And the more you show up, the easier it'll get. But you're not. And then I saw this other thing today that a professional does it until they can't do it wrong. An amateur does it until they can get it right and then quit. It's like a whole entire different mindset. Do you have to get yourself into that? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's steps into forming your self-worth.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you were saying, like you're saying, oh, I hate myself, but you switch it to I love myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's a tiny thing.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like...
substantial difference.
It's really great.
Yeah.
Like a large thing in the sense of like, building up your...
self-confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just how you can take things mentally and emotionally, like, because if you're telling yourself that you love yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I know this. Right?
Yeah, I know for a fact. Yeah.
And if someone would tell you anything
Different.
it's
exactly.
hard to believe it.
Yeah.
Because you've already convinced your mind
that what you are.
Yeah, and
all you need is yourself, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've always said this. It's like I always treat myself as the most important person in my life, right?
Yeah.
So I have to make sure that person is okay. And when someone tells you like, oh, you'll never amount to this, right?
Yeah.
It's like, but if you've already prepped your mind into believing that your purpose here is far greater than yourself, like, and you are the most important person, right? In your lens in the world, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I doubt it. You know, I doubt I won't amount to anything because I've convinced myself, and I believe it's true, right? And I hope everyone believes that that's true. Like, that my purpose here is far greater than the most important person in my life, right? So... and
you're the most important person in your life.
So you're telling me that I can't succeed is wild. You know, like...
you said it blows me.
Yeah. So, but it's always...
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, it's always been the time...
You're almost like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's all... And to get to that
that's
point,
exactly...
That's absurd. Why would you say that?
Why would you even say that? You're crazy. You clearly don't know me. Yeah.
And I feel like it's the tiny things that lead you to establishing your self-worth. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's never going to be like a thing, a huge thing.
Yeah.
It's a possibility, but it's very rare to get this one huge thing to happen for you to establish your self-worth.
Yeah.
It's always been little tiny things like, why would I allow myself to do such a thing? Yeah. I need to respect myself to not do that. And once I get to that point, and just persistence is key again, just keeping it going and repetition, you won't even have to question yourself when that occurs again. You're like, no, I respect myself too much. I can't afford to do something like that because I'm not respecting the most important person in my life. You know? Which is me.
Yeah. It's how I always ask you this. How did you get like this? How you have a very solidified mind. How did you obtain that? It's practice, but how did you say I have like what? You know what I mean? Like when a person doubts you, you're like, what? My bad.
No, it's believing it at first. I'm very to myself already, but like I was really to myself growing up, like, because I didn't know that my voice mattered, and but certain things I can do would be considered cool. Right. So I never said anything. I told myself that I don't have much value, essentially, without even telling myself that. And then once you already have that mindset, and then you go into the real world.
Yeah.
Right?
The real world.
Yeah.
It's I'm about to say.
you get picked on.
Yeah.
Right?
People don't care about you, basically.
Yeah. And you don't really know body language, and someone could do something really slight that makes it seem like they hate your guts, and you already told yourself you aren't worth anything, right? So you start believing it, like, and they never even said it,
right?
But you think they hate your guts, and you think, well, that's valid, you know? And it's like So when I got to a point, to be honest, it was right after like a breakup. I got over a
Yeah.
breakup, and it was just like, what am I doing? Like, I need to like let me just focus on the things that I care about, right? And
Yeah.
then I got really into it, like heavy into my music, and then um, people just started wanting to hear me talk, and then as I talked more and more, just because of my music, and people wanted to like ask me questions about that,
Yeah.
I started realizing that like um, not only do people care about my music, um, they started to care about what I had to say. Um, and when they started doing that, I started to care what I had to say. And that flipped my mind into like, okay, now I need to like establish who I am. I need to, what are my firm beliefs, right?
Yeah.
What are the things that you'd have to try really hard to convince me otherwise is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got really into like philosophy and like
Philosophy, that's that.
yeah.
That's that stuff. I love philosophy. That's that stuff. I'm tired. It's the sauce.
Yeah,
but what were you saying?
But it wasn't the traditional philosophers that I was paying attention to. It was modern day philosophers in the sense of they're not considered philosophers. It would be people like, I don't know if you're aware of X.
Yeah.
He was someone I paid a lot of attention to. Then I paid attention to Tupac Shakur.
Of course.
I paid attention to J. Cole.
Modern philosopher artists, basically, kind
Not
of.
even that, because I went outside of that, and I know it's crazy to say that now because he was. I think growth is a beautiful thing. It's
facts.
I started paying attention to what Mike Tyson was saying.
Oh yeah.
And like how his mind.
Dude, have you listened to his podcast? I'm so sorry. You've got to. That is crazy.
But
sorry.
I was just listening to people that either have been consistent with what they were preaching already, and they really don't get into a lot of issues with people.
No.
And or the people who went from this one thing to something completely drastic. I started listening to what they had to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized there was consistency in what they were saying, and I was picking.
It's the lines. Those lines, yeah.
And I started establishing the things that I believed in, and like the things that people would have to try really hard to convince me was wrong, right? Because I wasn't just going to believe something, right, and like stick to it until I was proven wrong. I wanted to like make sure that this is something I can stand behind.
So like developing your core values.
Exactly, and I think once I started developing my core values, I started realizing how significant I was, and like if I stayed at whatever I was passionate about, how much I could really change the world. And when I realized that, it was like, no one can tell me anything.
Oh yeah.
Right? No one can tell you.
And it wasn't even an egotistical thing. I've always been a carer and a lover, and just like.
It doesn't come across like that.
Yeah, I've always tried to help others. So when I allowed myself to have this vainness in that moment in time, just like.
I know you say vainness with quotes, but I think there's probably a better word, because I don't think it comes across as
vain
to me.
It comes across as being sound mind. So
or maybe even I would say confident, or maybe even convicted. You know what I mean? Like established.
Yeah, established. It's something different. It's a mix between accomplished, established. It's like peace of mind, but it's like something mixed between those. I know what word I'm thinking of. I can't exactly pinpoint it. So I don't know. Leave in comments below. No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, once I like allowed myself.
That was good.
To essentially be that, right? It just kept growing, Because at first, I was always told, and I know it's weird to say it because they conflict. I've never been a huge fan of the word humble, right? Though,
That's so funny because I was just gonna say you come across as humble.
and I think it's because if I kept myself humble, if I like really
You couldn't be where you're
stuck
at.
to the word humble, I wouldn't necessarily know my self-worth.
Yeah. It wouldn't allow you to develop that confidence.
Yeah, because I've already been a person that was so naturally caring and giving. And
yeah.
You're so important to me. You're so important to me.
Yeah.
That I have. And
you have to do that to yourself.
For someone who I would say lacks a lot of like self-worth, it's not there at all. I would say, for now, ignore the word humble, right? And like build your confidence up. And
tremendously.
Yeah. And if you feel like it's gotten to a point where like, okay, I'm getting a little too ahead of myself, reestablish the word humble. But if you like where you're at and you feel like you can still be that lovable, caring person, and still kind of like let your presence be known, ignore the word humble. Because you're there, you got it, you know? And essentially just, like I was saying, that because of that word humble, I think I'm able to be myself now, and before I would be like really, I don't know how to express myself or be
cocoonized.
Yeah, I couldn't be myself. I couldn't show my personality when I try to establish myself being humble. When I for myself again, like I can't speak for everyone else. When I threw out the word humble, it allowed me to like just be myself.
Genuine.
Yeah, regardless of anything. When something great happened, I allowed myself to let it be known that I was happy about it. And I'm really proud of this. And I want everyone to know that I'm really proud of this and how great this actually is. Rather than, like, prior to that, I'd be like, yeah, it was really cool.
Do you... Go ahead.
No, I think that is, like, authentic. It's like being your true, authentic self. And it doesn't have to... And I think that if it doesn't... It comes across as being true to yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that... I think it comes across as humility.
I think it just becomes being a strong person, like being, you can't really tell me anything because I know who I am. I have that kind of, I still can't get that word, but animosity kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
does that work?
Yeah, it's funny that you said the word authentic because this is my senior year is when I wanted to build my self-worth. My favorite word was authentic. That was the word
authentic self, yeah.
That was the word that I stuck to. And no matter what, I wanted to be authentic in every situation.
Yeah.
Because of that, I realized that for me personally, like I said, I couldn't be authentic and be humble at the same time.
Yeah.
Or at least in how I was perceived humble.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, I had to throw out the word be myself.
Yeah. Do you think, this is for both of you, do you think the word humble is like a thing that holds you back? It's something to be like, oh, I have to be humble because I might offend another person. Oh, I have to be humble because people are afraid of my confidence. Oh, I have to be humble because it's going to put other people on edge if I'm boasting about myself and what I'm proud of, what I've done.
I think it's that, what you just said.
Yeah.
I think that people might assume that, but I think it depends on how you come across, though, because if you're being authentic, it shouldn't matter what other people think, though, really,
right.
Because if you're just excited, it won't be about that egotistical kind of a thing. You know what I mean? It won't be about like a vain kind of I'm the greatest for no reason kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because then it goes back to like you know, have either of you ever heard the Muhammad Ali speech, I'm the greatest?
Yeah.
You know, he made that speech before he was the greatest.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
And he said it with the like integrity, like the
Animosity. Yeah.
like the full pride and influence and like authenticity and all of it, as if he were the greatest. He was like,
no one could tell him any different.
no one could tell him any different.
He fully believed that.
And it wasn't arrogance, I think is what you're saying. It's not, it wasn't like he was saying, I'm better than anyone else.
Yeah.
He wasn't coming across as putting anyone else down. He just was like, I am the greatest.
Yeah.
And he was claiming it. It was like he was claiming it for himself. And I think when you're being authentic, you are claiming who you are for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not about putting anyone else down.
Yeah.
It's not about being arrogant. It's not about trying to put your ego before someone else's.
Yeah.
It's just like being who you are for yourself. It's like being a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. It's just just having your own self-confidence for your own self. And so it's not that I think what so you end up coming across in the era of humility, not arrogance.
Yeah.
You know, but I think if it's like here's your painting
Thank
and
you.
here's my painting, and I'm like, mine is the greatest and yours isn't, then that's the vainness of it.
Yeah.
When it becomes like a comparison, and that's like the arrogant part of it, you know, like the ego part of it.
Yeah.
When it's
the boastfulness.
Boastfulness.
Yeah.
Right.
But just stating facts, though.
But when you just have that, like I created this thing and it was a breakthrough for me, and it means something to me, and I'm super excited about it, and I just love it. I'm so super excited to share it with you, and it makes me really happy, and all of that. That's genuine and that's true, and it resonates with people, and they can feel the emotion behind it, and if you're like, it's got me on cloud 9, and I feel like I'm the greatest because I made this thing, like that's powerful.
Yeah.
You know, I think that makes a difference to people, and they want to feel that same way too. Everybody wants to make that thing that makes them feel that way. They want to be able to do that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think, and this is maybe, I don't know how long the word humble has existed, of course, but like I feel like that's the reason why it was established as a good core value, is you don't want others to feel bad.
Yeah, that's yes.
And I know it sounds terrible saying it as this bold statement, but I don't care. Like,
yeah, that's how you're supposed to feel.
I want to feel happy.
Yeah.
And I don't want my happiness to be compromised because
other people's feelings of how they're trying
on how it might be perceived or portrayed.
Portraying yourself
at the expense.
Yeah, it's like I can't do that.
Can't do that. Yeah. Because that's some bull.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. Never mind running it back. It's a really big concept, and I was like, okay, this is a lot, so I'm not gonna say it. So, okay. That's how people are thinking today.
Yeah.
That, I have to put everyone's feelings ahead of mine so I don't come across as offensive, so I don't come across so people don't blacklist me. That's like a big thing nowadays. But if you're who you're truly meant to be, it doesn't matter. But then you see how soft people's perception of themselves is, and they just follow. So, okay, people like people like me, people will follow like a moth to the flame because you give that perception of themselves like, oh, I can do this too, I can da da da, instead of being like, wow, I need to think for myself, I need to develop my own self-worth to become a confident human being and have those core values, and not put anyone else before me, like you were saying before. That's what life's all about for me, at least. I think free thinking. I don't know where I was going with that, guys. So
No, you made
there
a
we
good
go.
point.
Thank you, thank God, because I was going in circles in my head. I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, that's valid for sure. I think it's important to find the one thing you were always seeking validation for, right? The one that you were always looking out, like, will they accept me if I do this, right?
Yeah.
Because if they accept me, then I am cool, right?
Yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
with the cool kids. Yeah.
Find that thing, and either learn to appreciate it yourself and stop, like, and it's easier said than done. Stop caring about what they think, right? And like, when I do this, right, and before you get to that step, how do I feel about what I just did, right? Or what I made, and you're like, this was really cool, right? Because the next step for a lot of people is, I wonder what others is gonna think, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like you have to get to that point where, yeah, I really like what I made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
You know,
it's like,
Yeah.
stop before you ask
because
what other people
you're
think.
kind of giving yourself that validation for yourself. It's gonna happen where you're gonna like, I wonder what other people are gonna think of what I just made. But
that's insecurities, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's like, kind of is, right?
And I think everyone's naturally always gonna have some type of insecurity.
Yeah.
But eliminating the insecurities that are based upon other people's opinions.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, it's trying to knock out as many as you can, right? Things that you thought were a big deal. I know, like in high school, like having the coolest shoes, or like it's like a huge deal for high school.
Yeah, which is kind of weird to me. Just weird.
And it's funny because I feel like in high school I was definitely the same person where it was like, man, I need to have these shoes because this is important, and if I don't go to school with these shoes,
then I'll be made fun of, and I'll be subject to ridicule. Yeah.
And it was like, I kid you not, the second I graduated, I just started wearing slides.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even care about shoes anymore, and it was like, because I wasn't in an environment where that mattered anymore.
Yeah.
And
I wear steel-toed. Can you step on my shoes? I just want to show everybody. Step on my shoes, please.
They're steel-toed?
Yeah, they're steel-toed.
Oh my gosh,
they're so cool. Yeah.
That's so cool.
I love these shoes. Just we're talking about shoes. I just want to make sure everybody knows I have steel-toed.
That's funny.
Yeah. But anyhow.
But I was saying that, like, either and the way you eliminate insecurities is by, like, either getting out of the environment that's creating that insecurity.
Eject yourself from that environment,
or like, maybe you're stuck in that environment.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, be the trailblazer, be the risk factor, right?
Yeah.
Be the person that doesn't care about the shoes.
Yeah. Do what you want.
And just, because if you start walking in there believing that
everybody else is weird for having these expensive shoes.
Matter.
Yeah.
It's not that deep.
Yeah.
You're going to give yourself, like, I guess if you use it as a point system, you're going to give yourself a lot of points as far as the score when it comes to your self-worth.
Yeah.
And, like, your confidence.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Because you can't convince any people otherwise.
Yeah.
Just worry about yourself. They're still going to be like, you're weird for only wearing these type of shoes. Like, when these are clearly better. Right? And it's like, that's what you think. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But you still being that person that does it.
Yeah.
in spite of people.
It's gonna gain respect. That's what it's gonna gain. Yeah.
Even if you don't gain the respect, right? Whatever.
You get your respect of yourself.
Yeah, and you become you admire yourself, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And
it's like having your own self-respect.
Yeah, for being bold, for being the one that said, "Oh, we're all going forwards. Well, I'm going to turn around." You know?
Yeah.
And everyone's going to look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
But if you keep going, you know,
yeah.
You're going to be like, "Wow, well, I've made it this far." And like, I don't know what's over there, but I like what's going on over here.
But I think look at this over here.
It's the perception that the collective they are getting together and talking about whether or not you have those shoes that the collective they have decided are the cool shoes, when really there is no collective they that have decided that there are those cool shoes, and they are not getting together and deciding and talking about it either. So when you go into the space where they are and I keep doing the quotes.
Coding note, yeah.
Right. They really aren't doing all that talking. It's kind of like your perception, like we were talking about those voices that are in your head.
They're talking about me all the time.
That you're making up, and like you said, when you just show up with the slides or whatever, your perception of how many people talked about it is probably way greater than the number of people who really even actually noticed. And the ones who are there, who are probably like, I really would have probably rather worn my slides today. I wish he has guts. I would have rather,
I would have did that.
Is probably greater, and they're probably struggling with that too. Or maybe they spent like their last little bit of money on those pair of shoes to fit in.
They wasted their money,
and then they couldn't get some essentials that they needed because of those shoes that they're wearing, and like it's the trade-offs and all of that. It's like you have to like really think like there's not this group that's
talking about you behind your back.
100%. It's funny. I have this like this thing I say about like life. I think that people make life complex.
Complex.
I don't think life is deep in a sense of like the things that matter. As people think.
Right.
Because it's another good example was when I went to go get my first job, which I'm so glad I don't have those anymore. My mom was telling me I needed to make sure you're dressed up for your interview.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, what? Like, I'm not gonna wear a suit and tie.
Yeah, suit and tie.
Go to an interview.
Yeah.
And I kid you not. Ever since that day, I've never dressed in anything formal. Like the most you'll get out of me is maybe like a nice little button up, some jeans and like some tennis shoes. And I've every single like interview, and I've based it off of I like who I am as a person.
Yeah.
What I wear does not matter to this. If you think based off talking to me, that I am good enough to do the job you're asking me to do.
Right.
It's about my mind. Yeah.
That should be enough, right?
Yeah.
Because in my mind, and then not for all jobs, but like in my mind, I'm going to be wearing a uniform anyways, right? So why does what I'm wearing to this interview matter?
Uniform.
You know?
Yeah, I do.
And it's like tiny things like that. Like I don't think it's that deep. Just if you need to like fake your funk with like an outfit, then you probably weren't ready for that job. You're probably
That's a fact. Yeah.
Right? If you can base it off of who you are as a person, and what you're capable of doing, because that's really what they want to know.
Yeah.
Then you're fine.
Yeah.
Right? I always thought it was stupid when they said you couldn't wear certain piercings, right? Or
tattoos showing. Yeah.
It's like, am I disturbing anyone? Can I get the job you're asking me done?
Yes.
Right? At an efficient pace.
Right. Yeah. And I can problem solve. I can literally do whatever you put in front of me. Yeah.
And it's like, so stop acting like the things that matter.
You look like matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember in Tarp, I used to come up dressed like to impress for no particular reason, and now I'm like I don't wear any of those clothes. I was like, in myself, I was like, man, I decided I was like, I'm just gonna wear comfortable clothes. So whatever I'm feeling that day, I'm gonna just wear that. And in my head, back in time, I'll be like, "Oh, artsy people, I need to dress artsy." You know what I mean? I
Oh,
need to do all these
all
things
the
to act
things.
like I belong, even though I do belong because this is what I do.
Yeah.
And now that I'm just like dressing the way I want and not really caring, I'm just like, "Oh, it's cool." Yeah, it's cool that I'm comfortable and not feeling like I'm, yeah.
Right.
So
Uh-huh.
it's like, it gives you that self
Yeah.
confidence. It's like, wow, I do what I want and no one's really going to tell me
Yeah,
anything,
exactly.
quite literally.
And
Yeah.
I would say clothes was just an example because
Yeah.
if you like wearing clothes that are really
Fancy, yeah.
then
Nice.
absolutely do
Yeah,
it.
that's you, though.
But I would say
Yeah.
don't do it.
Because you feel the need to in that
Yeah.
environment or
Mhm.
because of social perceptions. Yeah.
Yeah, if you really like the expensive clothing and you
Yeah.
just like the way it looks,
Mm-hmm.
That
do it. Go
it's
for it. Right? But
crazy
don't-
that people like that, though.
Yeah. It's like, but don't get it in the sense of like
I need to
validation
wear
or
this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
whatever
People are gonna make
reason
me
that
feel
you're getting
cool.
it that isn't
Yeah.
you liking it.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like because now you're thinking of life in a way that's not that deep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Do you stretch your own canvases?
I did for
Yeah.
some, but
Golly.
I think the point that you were saying about how you listen to philosophers and that you spent some time developing your core values, I think that I wish there was a way that we could teach people
To do that.
to do that.
Yeah, and like school instead of learning these books.
Well, even just to, uh, um, just to investigate things on their own like that, and
Yeah.
to talk about how do you go about developing your core values. Where do
Yeah.
you search for those ideas? Where, you know what I mean? Like, what
Yeah.
how do you um come up with a way to identify yourself like that? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I think that is so important, and I think that's how you decide and what is important to you, and where you find your source of um, uh, inspiration when it comes to what you're going to stand on in terms of um, uh, your own personal development too. And so when you're deciding when you're going to move forward in terms of like the clothes you're going to wear and the friends you're going to be around and all that stuff, if you haven't decided on your core values, that's when you end up going with like the most convenient job or the
Yeah.
most convenient
The easiest route, as
clothes
it
or
were.
friends
Yeah.
or the easiest route. And I think then you end up somewhere off course looking back
Right.
like,
Yeah.
how did I end up over here?
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
And it's so much harder to revert back to the original you. Yeah.
Or you might have gotten swayed by all the kinds of things that you thought those other people were saying, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because you were just
Yeah.
trying to please what other people were saying, and nobody really wants to live just to please what other people are saying.
Yeah, it's funny that you have, because I've always been a person that always, not always, but like I chose to always pick my happiness over everything else, right? Like this opportunity may like provide something financially that maybe never had it before, right?
Yeah.
And it'll give me a lot of financial freedom, but it's like, okay, that's cool, but will it, like being in a situation, maybe it's the people, or you know, does this make me happy, right?
Yeah.
Like, will I be happy in this environment? And if
Yeah.
my answer is no, I don't care how much money it is. I'm just
I'm not
gonna
doing
do
it. Yeah.
right. And I know some people may seem like I'm being stubborn, but it's like I have to at all times pick my happiness because
Right.
I feel like that's despite sharing love and the things that you've experienced with others, your happiness is just as important and the thing that you should be focusing on and like making a priority. And those, in my opinion, are the three things that you should worry about. So
Yeah, and trusting your instinct.
yeah, and I feel like because I move in that manner, right? I may not be in like a position that financially I could have been, right?
Yeah.
But it's like I'm in a position like mentally that I wouldn't have been if I chose those things.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
Do you think, I didn't mean to interrupt,
No, you're
but
fine.
do you think it's your happiness? Because I think happiness is like a very relative word, like humble. But do you think it's more of your mental health? Is this going to be a negative experience or a positive experience? Like, do, does that make sense? Because people are like, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna da, da, da. But happiness isn't what life is about. It's about those ups and downs. Like you making music. If you put out like a song and it doesn't hit the goal, but you still did it, and it's disappointing that it didn't hit the goal, but you still did it, and that's why it makes you happy because you're taking those experiences with joy of being able to do it rather than, oh, I should have just did this and it'll make me more money. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. For me, I would say that I never even try to look at it in that way. Like, um, in the sense of life, I know life is always up and down.
Yeah.
Right? But I would never intentionally put myself in a situation where I go down.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna always intend to be happy. Right. Um, because I know life is gonna make me sad.
Yeah.
Angry, right.
You might as well try the
this
happiest route. Yeah.
The natural course of life
Mm-hmm.
is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want thrill. You know.
Yeah.
I don't want the part where
The bottoms. Yeah.
the ride ends or the ride is just beginning. Like you know, like we haven't even. They haven't started the roller coaster yet. Like I don't want any of those parts. Like
Right.
I want all the excitement that comes with the roller coaster.
Right.
The most excitement. You want the spins, twists, and whatnot. Yeah. The overturns, the overlays.
So if I have to get to like a point, like I said, it doesn't even have to be something financially. Like maybe it's like a friendship that like benefits that you thought initially benefited the both of you.
Yeah.
And you're starting to realize that this person isn't really developing in the way that
adds to you. Yeah.
Yeah, or like contributes to your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. It may contribute in the polar opposite. It's
Yeah.
like though you may have a lot of love for that person, you have to understand and accept that your happiness matters.
Yeah.
And like again, easier said than done. You have to let that person go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Allow them, if you want that person back in your life, you have to allow them to develop on their own.
Yeah.
You can't force a person to do anything.
That's
right?
a fact. You can lead a horse to water. Yeah.
So, you have to like at all times just want to be in a happy position because an event is going to occur.
Yeah.
That isn't a happy position.
Yeah. And you need to have that stable mind type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for me, that's how I create balance.
Yeah.
Right. I don't try to stick something through if I know it's gonna hurt me.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I need peace of mind at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like you said, like life is this
ups
thing,
and downs.
and it's gonna hit you in ways that you never
dreamed of. Yeah.
You could be hidden.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like.
I felt it. Yeah.
You know, it's like this actually hurts.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like.
Yeah. So what I'm not gonna do is punch myself in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. That's a fact. Don't get yourself set up for a punch.
Yeah.
Right.
Give myself the medicine, the nurturing and care that I need to heal from the wounds that life is throwing at me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I always choose my happiness because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's a great way of putting it. Man, this is a great conversation.
It was.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful having you on here.
Thank you.
And I've learned a lot from you.
I've learned a lot from you guys.
Yeah.
From both of you.
But would you like to plug your stuff,
Oh,
your
yeah,
situations?
yeah.
Go ahead.
There's this Absolute Elite Mindset
Yeah.
coaching that's
Yes.
starting tomorrow.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's going to go on for 4 weeks.
4 weeks, okay.
And it's 8 coaches together.
Mm-hmm.
And we are offering it for the 4 weeks, like I said.
Yeah.
2 coaches each Saturday.
Yep.
And my session will be next Saturday.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that. Yes. And then after that, it'll be 2 more coaches and then 2 more coaches. So, and then there's extended after that. So if you're interested, you can get in touch with me.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow I'll be at the museum.
Yes.
Even though the coaching is starting tomorrow, there's 2 coaches that'll be there. But
Yes.
then tomorrow I'm at
The museum, Columbus Museum of Art,
yes,
teaching
you
a
can come
class.
out to the museum
Yes.
tomorrow. Right.
Didn't you just drop a website?
Oh yes, I just dropped it.
Yeah.
Right, I just dropped the website.
Yeah.
Right.
Where can we find it at?
It's at rhinoesteem.pro.
Ooh.
Right.
Rhino
If you
Esteem,
send
that's
it to me, I'll
fine.
make sure I add it to the description.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Put some links. And then, anything else on the roster for you?
The website has anything I might have forgotten because I thought I might forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rhinoesteem.pro has the Absolute Elite Mindset coaching on there.
Yes.
Has the Costa Rica trip on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
You guys are amazing.
So are you. So are you.
Yeah, you're great, Mindy. Of course.
Thank you.
Of course, I've learned a
It's
lot.
great. Yeah.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.